this type of competition allowed us to finally give a voice, not to me, not to the investors, not to the deputies, but to you, because you are the future of Cyprus. Now, this panel will talk about exactly that. What is the future of Cyprus and how can we get to that final vision of making Cyprus the tech hub, the tech island? So this panel is about that journey, and I would like to invite my panelists, and I would like to stop bothering you with my voice, and we finally go with people more interesting than me. And I would like to start with my friend Stylianos Lambrou. Please join us on stage. He is the co-founder of the Heart Group, and you know him probably from the Reflect Festival as well. And he's my favorite person in the world to talk about the future of Cyprus. So thanks for joining. Next, we have Frixos Larkos, CEO of Crowdbase. We all know how hard it is to get investment nowadays. The wallet used to be open from VCs back in the days. Now they're a bit more tight. And in Cyprus, it's particularly hard to get funding. And I know that Frixos has that in his purpose, that has that in his heart. And he's here to talk about us how we can finally get a bit more dough to these guys, so they can do what they want to do. Third panelist is Sergey Osipov. Sergey, please join us on the stage. He is a tech entrepreneur, mentor, and investor. And this guy recently went through an IPO for 1 billion. So not exactly peanuts. Thanks, Sergey. Welcome to the stage. Last but not least, Mr. Demetris, Chief Scientist of the Research, Innovation, Technology for the Republic of Cyprus. You met him just before with this speech. Again, instrumental to the future of Cyprus and to making this tech hub. Now, let's get going. And Stylianos, you're a friend of mine, and we spend quite a lot of time together, so I'm going to pick you as first. While your microphone comes your way, we have two mics? Two mics. So you've been pivotal in the Cyprus tech ecosystem since the beginning for quite some time. Reflect, Tech Island, the Heart Group recently. Tell us where we're at. Give us a snapshot. You want to take mine?
Hello? Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, so I'm Cypriot myself. I grew up in Cyprus. I just lived in the UK for 4 years, where I studied. And in 2013, I came back. So that was my journey to come back. Was at a time that Cyprus was experiencing this severe financial crisis. And I had the option to stay in the UK, like all of my other compatriots, but I decided to come back because I saw the potential that is happening now, and we see it happening. And actually, I'm very positive about also the future. I think 10 years ago, the ecosystem was really in a very mature stage. And now we're in the phase that actually we're developing. There are a lot of initiatives. I think also the technology companies here are contributing a lot to the island. And we can discuss also about the new opportunities and all the new initiatives that are happening on the island.
And what do you think in your journey from 2013 from London to here? What do you think we worked on well in terms of strengths, and what do you think we still have to do?
I think it's all about the people, and I think we saw this mindset shift in the past few years. I mean, even now, many people are evangelizing that we need more engineers, more designers, but I'm always saying that we need more entrepreneurs. And this comes from also the culture here. We need to encourage failure. That's why the US is a startup nation, because actually they're encouraging failure. And I think the most important thing is that the people are willing to do more. I think also we brought a lot of people from abroad. A lot of talent came to Cyprus, working for these big technology companies, and eventually these are the founders who built their company from Cyprus.
Yeah, 100%. We wouldn't be here 4 or 5 years ago, isn't it?
I think the ingredients for a successful ecosystem, first of all, is the talent, and I think we have quite good talent here in Cyprus. The second one is the rich guys, is the investors. I think we have quite a lot of high net worth individuals here, and actually, also with Frixos work, they're educating about investing in startups and the risks involved, etc. Something that in the past, the rich people here, they were investing only in real estate and not technology. And the third thing I would say is an open-minded government. Some stuff are happening also ourselves with Tech Island. We're trying to educate the government, advise them, and actually the technology sector nowadays contribute the most out of all the sectors, and it's the only sector on the island that actually it has this multiplier effect and supports all the other sectors, including the tourism, the real estate. So I think these are three things: the government, the talent, and the investors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The more entrepreneurs, the better, basically,
so I think
right?
this is the main change.
So let's go into that, one of your pain points then. Frixos, money is pivotal, right? I think it's always been in the conversation. Without money, I think there is only a short run that you can go. We know that a couple of years ago was much easier, probably in Cyprus, but I think in Europe as well. Globally, I think there were VCs were a bit more open and kind, perhaps. Now things are changing, but in Cyprus it's always been a struggle. So how do you and Crowdbase fit into this equation then?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, it has been quite challenging lately, but this is not just in Cyprus, it's everywhere. And these are the cycles of financing that come and go. So we need to be able to tackle them. But it has been persistently a challenge in Cyprus, and Stylianos mentioned some of the some good points on that. The fact that the money are in Cyprus. There is a lot of money in Cyprus sitting around in banks, collecting dust or collecting your 2% per.
Not in mine.
But it's about educating people in order to be able to understand the risk, but also understand the opportunity that's out there, and understanding that we need to deploy this capital beyond just the bank accounts to be productive and have this multiplier effect that, again, Stylianos mentioned. Our role as Crowdbase, I think it's quite simple. We are the bridge between the demand and the supply of money. And we're trying to connect in an efficient way, as efficient as possible way, the investors with the startups without taking out the intermediation or the kind of work that a lot of the investors need to do. For example, the selection, the due diligence, the analysis. We kind of do that for them and present it in an easy to understand manner so that anybody can invest. So we're encouraging that participation through education.
So you make it safer for people to invest, right? But there is a strong social aspect as well into this, right?
Yes, I do want to believe we make it safer in some ways for people to invest. But of course, investing in startups is always risky, so you always need to be careful.
It's okay. Your lawyer is not here today. You can speak freely.
Maybe there is a regulator somewhere. But in terms of the social impact, yes, I believe big part of crowdfunding is that social impactful aspect of it. That the fact that you're essentially joining a startup in this journey, that you are alongside with them, supporting them. It can be the fact that you're just liking their posts or sharing, or you could find a customer, you could find a supplier, you could have an idea about a new feature, and you are in that journey with them, which you would normally not be able to do as easily.
And what made you start this? What was your fire?
Yeah, I think similar to Stylianos, I was in the UK, I was in investment banking and finance, and through a piece of work, I was actually working on the first mandate of the equity fund that kind of fell through. And through that, I saw, what was happening with crowdfunding in the UK, US, Israel, which is huge. And I thought that could be essentially the bridge for Cypriot startups or innovative companies in Cyprus and investors to fill in that financing gap.
Amazing. And Sergey, I think we stay on the topic of money, and we just ramp it up to the max. 1.1 IPO on the New York Stock Exchange. Tell us the stories about that. How did you manage that?
There's quite banal, a lot of work actually, nothing outstanding. No, my story is I have been working since my 16. Then I launched my first business in 20, being a student, paying for education, trying to build the business and so on. And then during the next 30 years, I launched more than 20 companies. And
you're addicted to it, huh?
And actually nothing excited about, because the major story is very, very sad. It's a story about bankruptcies, laying out the people, losing trust of investors, because the majority of the startups, you definitely lose it because you cannot produce unicorns in each attempt. This is quite difficult career to choose it. And actually, the same story is from Victor Kisley, the Wargaming founder, my friend and the partner in one of these 20 startups. World of Tanks was the 12th product of Wargaming, not the first one. And before that, it were 8 years of efforts and 11 quite miserable games. And in 2007, the company was on the verge of bankruptcy, right before the launch of World of Tanks. And then, boom, we have $1 billion bucks business.
Perseverance, right? Never giving up.
Quite big product. The logic here is very plain. When you fail, you gain experience, right? When you have experience, more and more experience, that means the probability of the success of your next endeavor will be more visible.
Yeah, it's interesting. Did you develop a culture of failure, or it's something that you had since the uprising?
I don't know. It happened somehow. It just way of life, just launching and launching businesses. But let's return to the main topic. See, last 10 years I had been living in Cyprus, and I even call myself Cypriot entrepreneur. My last businesses launched here, and I live here many years. And I have a good advice how we can change the system. Very plain, actually, easy to execute. First of all, in my view, Cyprus is the #1 jurisdiction in our part of the globe for IT businesses. Really, really #1. And in case our government really intended to do this, I would say, surprisingly, we have a very, very efficient and effective government because it achieved it. And the only pain that I feel that Cyprus banks, talking about the business, we cannot avoid moving money back and forth. We need bank accounts.
Be careful, we don't have that much time to go into Cypriot banks.
And this is my big advice for the government. Maybe we can make some set of incentives for banks just to do it faster, because the current path of the typical startup in Cyprus, you register the company, and then you immediately apply for a Revolut into one of the Cyprus banks, because we need Cyprus bank account to operate the business. And you usually get a Revolut account in just 1 week, and Cyprus bank account in 3-4 months in the better case, in case you have no Russians or Ukrainians and shareholders and all this stuff.
Again, we don't have enough time for that either. So what would be your suggestion in that case then?
Let's do something with this.
Let's make it faster.
Well said.
Mr. Demetris, I think there is no better person than you from the government to be here with us. What can you tell us of what's happening behind the closed doors, behind the government, to push us forward, towards that ecosystem, towards putting Cyprus into the global map as a tech island?
So first of all, again, I would like to congratulate the organizers for organizing this great event. What I'm going to start is by saying two things, is that His Excellency, the President, Mr. Nikos Christodoulidis, has invested in bringing two peoples from the industry to actually lead the space, right? So we have the Deputy Minister, Mr. Nikodimos Damianou, who comes from a great knowledge of how working with payment systems like JCC and leading it as a CEO, and myself, having spent almost 18 and a half years in leadership positions across the biggest, most innovative companies to change how things are being done in the island. So I acknowledge everything, all of what my predecessors here have said and the pain points. By the way, thank you for saying that we're doing something right, at least on the government side. But yeah, I mean, a few things that we've learned from the playbook from outside is that startups think in a different way, and sometimes this rush and excitement to really go out there and fail fast can actually create some of the issues and the challenges they've done. So one of the things that we've done, at least in the Research Innovation Foundation, is in the programs we've actually introduced, programmatic type of assistance for IP, for patenting, type of guidance or new product development, let's say guidance workshops, etc. But most of the elements that we're doing different, and there are a few others that that we're building us is that we've identified that innovation and innovative companies need a slightly different strategy than what research needs. So we're slowly working into really advancing and boldening, or let's say strengthening the innovation ecosystem. We do have at the current moment four, let's say, programs that are basically there to support the startup community and let's say those entrepreneurs who want to go from an idea into an MVP, right? So we start by a concept where we provide through a program the opportunity for them to get their fund that can actually get them to build their first MVP. That leads on to a second program that we call Seed, a third one that we call Innovate, and then one that basically does require venture capitalist support or VC support for them to actually start scaling up a bit more. Now, why is the cycle there? The cycle is there to actually help our entrepreneurs start investing, but actually pace themselves across the journey, right? Because failing is the only way that startup success, and I think what Sergey has actually said is very inspiring. It's actually very similar across some of the most successful startup entrepreneurs out there. You learn fast, you fail fast, you iterate, as long as you actually keep one thing in mind, which is that business model. So what we're doing is actually through engaging with the community more and understanding and listening what is required, we're actually doing two things. Is we're actually building a bridge with programmatic, let's say, internationalization events where we, specifically myself, I actually have the role of both the chief scientist and the CTO of the government, helping the startups of Cyprus, all of you that are successful, to participate and actually open doors abroad, right? And this is not just across the door, which is a country called, for example, Greece, or another one called France. This is across the globe. The second thing that we're doing is that we're making sure, and we're working on the policy side to create those conditions that will allow you to actually find your customers faster. I can't talk too much right now, but as we're speaking, we're busy in looking and revising at what changes are required at the startup visa. We're busy in looking at, how can we help, for example, startups and the technology innovative companies find their first, let's say, customers much faster. And I think there's a lot more that you'll be hearing in the next couple of months on what we're doing to move forward. And coupling that, right, I think on the government side, there is a dedication to actually advance the skilling with a dedicated focus on digital skills. You'll hear more about an AI task force to be announced soon. And you'll also be pleased to find that through the HRDA, which is the Human Development Research Authority in Cyprus, there are dedicated courses there that are available for free to people and all of your employees that actually want to skill up right on technology that moves it forward. So it's slowly moving in a direction where we actually build programmatic bridges that are going to be what I call the bridges for the startup community to use. Thank you.
Incredible. Thank you very much. And Stylianos, circling back to you, what makes Cyprus special? So we know, we talked about the challenges, but we didn't talk enough about how it makes it the perfect sandbox and how it's also strategically and geographically positioned, right?
I think Cyprus should embrace its authenticity because, also in the beginning we were like founding Tech Island, we had this mission to make Cyprus the Silicon Valley of Europe, but in my opinion, we should focus on its uniqueness. That's why we came up also with the name Tech Island, because Tech Island, the name symbolizes two things that are unique of Cyprus. One is the upcoming tech ecosystem, so the word tech, and the other island, which is a metaphor symbolizing the lifestyle you have here. And the concept of live, work, play, and I think Cyprus can offer this, and I think that's why many people, they choose Cyprus to relocate and do their business. And at the same time, we're positioned in a very good location. We have access also to the Middle Eastern market, which is a very emerging market, and also, of course, Europe. I'm always saying that Cyprus actually is in the Middle East geographically, but we're in European Union, so actually can be a good gateway for Middle Eastern companies. Yes, and also I agree that with everyone that the government plays a very big role, but the government is adapting to the ecosystem. So I think also at Reflect, we have this, our slogan is Doers United, so we want to bring doers. And who are the doers? Are the founders, the investors, and the operators. And when you bring these people together, it's the community. And I think in a country which is community-driven, and you bring all these people together, magic can happen, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is also one of the things that in the past, I would say 3 years, and maybe I will give credit to Tech Island, we have unified all the communities of Cyprus, and at our events and in our board, we have people from all the different communities of Cyprus.
100%.
And we're working together for the best of the country.
Last 30 seconds each. If you had, starting from you, Stylianos, as well, last one. If you had the magic wand and you could make something happen in Cyprus,
yes.
what would that be?
Actually, I wouldn't use it because I love the journey.
You
We're
love
on
the
a
suffering.
journey
We
now.
know that. But let's say, entertain me.
The final destination is that we'll be globally recognized as the tech island of the world.
Brilliant.
Everyone should know us this way. And I'm looking forward to this journey. And I think the community is the one that will bring the change. And of course, an open-minded government that can adapt, introduce policies, incentives that can support everyone, basically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Frixos?
Thank you.
What would be your magic be?
Yeah, I'm not gonna take Sergey's wish, which probably is gonna be like wipe out all the banks. So I'm gonna go.
Or digitalize them at least.
Yes, I'm gonna probably reflect a little bit on what Stylianos said with the government. That at the moment it very much looks like it's reacting to the ecosystem, but we need to be a leader. And we need them to be the leader in that and take initiative. And we can see many countries across Europe, not even that far away. We can look at Greece, the initiatives they are taking, and they are pushing the ecosystem forward.
Sergey, what's your magic?
I can share something with the startuppers. No, I've already released all my government recommendations. I believe that Cyprus is the perfect international, global jurisdiction, and actually not just jurisdiction, the place to launch the business as well. I'm talking about IT businesses.
Yeah.
And in my current startup, Placy AI, we're launching it in Cyprus first as the pilot market, and then going to Greece, UK, Dubai, quite usual path for this Cypriot startup. And which is important, I think, that you have startuppers, you have to show in your business plan this global ambitions. Because I cannot imagine the only IT startup just focused on the only Cyprus, because this is unfortunately not a market. Probably fortunately, I don't know. For example, we launch our pilot here exactly because this is not a market. In case we fail with this idea, so we spend less money than in UK or Germany, for example. So I wouldn't say unfortunately, right? It's necessary to have the global ambition in the business plan. In case you guys have the global idea, you're going to launch something in IT focusing just on Cyprus, I'm afraid so it will be very difficult to find investors and the team, and it will never make you happy.
100%. And Demetris, just to close with you, like for the last 30 seconds, if there was one thing you would like to happen, what would that be?
Well, I'll cheat first of all because I've heard Stylianos say 2 and then 1, so I'll basically just go with 3 ones very fast. So the prize for San Francisco is $1 million. Just want you to know that in the upcoming programs that we have, specifically Innovate, we are going to be giving to a few companies 1 million euros each if you make it there, and that is equity free, right?
Brilliant.
That's number 1. Number 2, right? Number 2, it's important for you to understand that we do also want, and I would like you to actually seek customers in Cyprus for your products. So anybody, any one of your companies that are actually looking for the customers here, reach out for help if you need help from me under my hat as the chief scientist. And the last but most important is I would love, in my current role and capacity, to help you advocate for your solutions, particularly the ones that have a lot of artificial intelligence. Feel free to tag me to really create that exposure. We will engage back with you and make sure that we can actually help you show this visibility abroad. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Stylianos, Lambrou, Frixos, Larkos, Sergey, Osipov, Demetris, Skourides. Thank you very much.